Welcome back to Rapid City, South Dakota, home of the South Dakota School of Mines, and this month's edition of the RMAC Showcase. You know, a lot of changes came to the Hard Rockers athletic department in 2014. First, they joined the RMAC in all sports but football, and then they welcomed in a new athletic director.
You know, I've told my coaching staff, I've told our recruits coming in, you know, nobody's going to get fired at South Dakota School of Mines for not winning national championships. They're here to be leaders in science and engineering for the future.
Not many schools would be able to say that, but with the academic requirements of the South Dakota School of Mines, this is probably the best approach an athletic director can take.
We've maintained a 3.0 GPA for the last 16 semesters in a row. In science and engineering classes.
Joel Lucan has been the AD since the Hard Rockers joined the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, a fact that made him much more interested in the position after spending 9 years at William Jewell in Missouri.
It's tough sledding, I can tell you right now, in Division II athletics if you don't have a conference. We were in the GNAC with soccer and football when I first got here. It was a much more attractive position for me once I found out we were getting into the RMAC and that we had a president who was behind all that.
He also knew the RMAC would make a big difference when it came to balancing the books.
The RMAC has eased up as an ease of burden on our budget for sure. We have continuity and in our scheduling, in our budget. The RMAC's a quality league from top to bottom. It wouldn't matter if you're talking about golf, tennis, track and field, football, basketball. But we're just excited to be involved with them in football-wise. It'll be a little bit different recruiting base.
Things are starting to really look up for Mines with several changes and facility upgrades. There's one piece in particular the department is excited about, but they aren't ready to spill the beans just yet.
We're going to be painting a mural on our basketball floor next summer that's going to draw a lot of positive attention to the institution. Should bring in more revenue because more teams will simply just want to come in and play on the court because of what we're going to put on it.
On the academic side of things, the school brought in a new president in June of 2013. She comes to the Coyote State from the land of enchantment.
There's no easy degrees at the South Dakota School of Mines, but a lot of personal attention.
Heather Wilson knows the requirements are tough at South Dakota Mines.
One of the great things is our average high school GPA coming into the School of Mines is 3.5. And our average ACT coming into the School of Mines is about 27, which is in the 88th percentile. So we get a lot of very good high school students here who are interested in engineering and science and solving problems that matter to people in the 21st century.
But that hasn't stopped her from leading a huge increase in the student population.
South Dakota Mines has grown over the last 5 years by almost 25%. So there are over 500 more students on campus today than there were 5 years ago. So we're one of the only schools in the region that's growing certainly that fast. And it's good because the nation needs more well-prepared engineers and scientists.
She knows the battle is far from over, but it's a fight South Dakota Mines has won more times than not.
This is not a well-known school nationally, but its reputation is growing because it's a great value. We were rated #1 in the country on the front page of the Wall Street Journal last year for return on investment for a college education. And it's because 98% of our graduates have a job at graduation at an average starting salary of over $63,000 a year. And our out-of-state tuition is lower than in-state tuition in many of the surrounding states.
Higher academic standards can lead to tougher recruiting for the athletics department, but that hasn't slowed them down.
I once asked one of our recruiting football coaches whether it was harder, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's harder to recruit for the School of Mines because students have to be academically ready for a very difficult program." But he loves it, and I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, because once they're here, you only have to tell them what to do once. They get it." Our athletes have a higher average GPA than the school as a whole, and they have had for 8 straight years. While we bring in very well-prepared high school students overall, our athletes are even more so. And we brought in 70 freshman athletes this year. Their average high school GPA was 3.7. So we recruit college football players who can do calculus.
This next team, there's a good chance that you might have never heard of them, but they're shooting for their 6th trip to the World Programming Finals. What would make this one so special? The South Dakota School of Mines, they're hosting those World Finals next May.
What do? Just divide by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Say you have 2 bicyclists and they are traveling towards each other. And they're going to eventually collide. And there's a fly that is flying between them, back and forth, until they collide.
I rarely see a problem this easy.
You have to calculate the total distance that the fly travels before they hit each other.
We can't get above 16.
For mere mortals, that problem could be impossible. But for the programming team at South Dakota Mines, that's a Saturday morning.
This is a 3-minute problem.
And we consistently have large companies recruiting specifically members of the programming team. Google will call and ask for the list of the programming team. Microsoft always wants to, buy us pizza.
I like that idea.
Last year, my team made the World Finals. So last May, we went to Thailand to spend a week for the competition, and we competed against 128 teams all over the world. And I was actually the first female student from the School of Mines to qualify for the World Finals.
That trip to Worlds also earned them a week with some of the top foreign teams this summer.
We were given the opportunity to travel to a place where the teams there are known for doing very well at these competitions, and we got to go and practice with them and learn what it is that they do differently that allows them to be so much better, with the hopes that we will be able to make our program better.
Now South Dakota Mines has turned their reputation into the opportunity to host the World Finals next May.
They took notice of us as a school that produces teams who do well, and that makes them more likely to want to host World Finals here.
It's a huge deal, especially because we're a very small school. We're one of the smallest schools to ever host. For the ICPC to deem us worthy of hosting is excellent.
When we return, a week in the life of a South Dakota Mines student athlete and the men's soccer team and women's volleyball team, both with showdowns against first place opponents. Don't go anywhere. The RMAC Showcase returns in a few minutes.